You must have heard this a million times, a zillion times, perhaps more than that. And I have myself said this in the past. Now I'm just trying to quantify some of those things. What are the advantages of starting young and what is young, right? So it is very rare, but it is not impossible to get people coming and telling you that they want to invest right when they are young, when they are very young, and they say, okay, I need to start making an investment, and how can I do it? So, here, a 24-year-old boy and his 21-year-old sister both wanted to start investing. So maybe their father said, or the boy said he found Subramani, and therefore he called me, and then he came alone. He didn't come with his sister, and he was earning. He had just started earning, and he was earning well. And he wanted to start investing, and he just wanted to know where to invest. Therefore, I thought I should do this post, because just like Kangana Ranaut is talking about nepotism, there is nepotism with money also, fairly obvious. The children of rich parents don't inherit just the money, but they also inherit extremely good financial habits, especially if the parents have bothered to communicate. Of course, they have money, but have they communicated it well? And this young kid, he's just finished from a good college. He's a MBA, and his father must have taught him a lot of things, including the fact that his father opened a PPF for him when he was 2 years old, and father had already invested so much in him that if he did nothing, he would still be what I would call rich. So fairly obvious, whereas a typical middle class boy learns about investing only after around the age of 35, because till then what happens is he is doing some ad hoc investing. He's bought an insurance policy to save ATC का tax. He's bought a house and he's paying some EMI, all ad hoc, not very well thought of. Only at 34, 35 he gets up and says, oh, how much do I need for retirement? Should I keep it in separate boxes? Now I have a child, should I take term insurance? Earlier it never happened. Now this has happened, and so I was very happy that this young boy came, and he said, I and my sister both need to invest, and I've heard about asset allocation and all that, so I think this is how I will invest. And he had made an investment plan where 70-80% was in equity, 20% was in debt, and in his equity it was predominantly mid cap, then there was small cap, and then there was large cap. So the amount of large cap that he was doing was very small. So when he came, I asked him, why so much of mid cap? So he said, no, I have read and I have seen that higher risk means higher return. So therefore in mid cap and small cap, he was putting an equal amount even in small cap. So in mid cap and small cap, I will get better returns than large cap. This is what I have heard. So that was good, and he still had 20% in debt. I said, why debt? So he said, no, the debt also I need to have. I can't put 100% in equity. Again, this is what happens when you've got yourself educated, but you've not got yourself educated perfectly. I said, okay, will you listen to me if I make changes in your suggested scheme which you have created? He said, of course I'll make. I said, okay, look at it this way. If the big, large companies do not do well, will the smaller companies do well? So the answer was fairly obvious, no, they can't do well. I said, exactly. So the big companies, the Marutis, Tata Motors, Ashok Leyland are big companies, right? So their suppliers are small companies. So big, small, both have to do well. It is completely wrong to classify companies as to large cap, mega large, small cap, mid cap, etc. You do it, yes, but you don't say mid cap and small cap will give you better returns than large cap. Yes, of course, it looks like because they have to be compensated with higher returns because the volatility is high. So in the long run, people will say, if I am taking so much risk, I need to get better return. However, it does not mean that you will always get, and in the long run, over 30-40 years, when you are accumulating money, you don't worry too much about market capitalization and all. Whatever you do is fine, but I would suggest something like 40% at least of large cap, mid cap, small cap, and one small window of maybe 10-15% or maybe 20% in international funds. And for heaven's sake, international means it has to have US, Europe, Japan, China also. All these should be international fund. As of now in India has meant only US funds. That is wrong. We have been looking at US funds doing well, and we feel international means US. Not true at all. So because US has had such a long bull run, any portfolio which had the US investments, maybe for 6 months also, or maybe for 2 years also, they've all done well. Right? So it does not mean that you over allocate. If you look at current situation, it will look like you should take all your money and put it only in the US market because that is booming. But that may not be true, right? So you need to do asset allocation. So I did asset allocation and I brought him to zero in debt. So he was quite surprised. He said, why have you brought it down to zero in debt? I said, simply because you are investing a big amount of money. 75,000 to 1 lakh is what you can spare. So we are right now talking of investing 75,000 a month. In the worst case scenario, if you have an emergency and you need money, can you turn to your dad and say, I need some money for a completely genuine cause? He said, yes. So once you have a job, you will have the benefit of medical insurance by the company. And he was joining a nice big company where he had medical insurance. He said, yes, that will also be taken care of. So I said, do you have any immediate goal at all? Could be something very simple, buying a laptop costing about 2 lakhs or anything of that sort. He had no such things. He was not planning to buy a car. So he had no big expense. I said, if you leave 1 lakh rupees in your fixed deposit or in a bank, which can be accessed with your credit card, you should be done. You don't need any portion of your asset going into debt. You just don't need it because you have a safety net called DAD, right? So then we sat down and he was talking of 18% return milega, 15% return milega. I said, what we have done is we have done asset allocation. Asset allocation is a great thing to do. But please understand, asset allocation optimizes return, does not maximize return. It optimizes because during bad times also you will get something because there will be something which may be working contrarian. For example, right now Europe is doing badly, but US is doing well. So there could be a time when Europe also catches up, or Europe does well, Europe does better than US. All that is possible. So you capture a little bit of every place, you would have got an optimum return over the next 30 years, not the maximum return. For maximum return, you take more concentrated bets. You buy direct equity, right? So he was a little surprised, but yeah, he accepted. Then I said, the international equity that I am giving you is not something which I would give to somebody who is just starting off with 75,000 rupees or 1 lakh. I normally like to tell people that they need it only when they cross the $1 million investment, that is about 7 crores. However, in your case, what is happening is, it is always good to have little bit of international flavor. And I'm trying to beat the home bias because you will always like to invest in companies which you know, which you understand, etc. So a little bit of international exposure, that's all. Not that it is going to make any great money, but there would be times when the Indian markets don't do well and those markets do well. During those times, when you look at your portfolio, you will feel good. That is all. There is nothing else to asset allocation. If you anyway know that you are investing for 30 years and you are going to live in India, it's okay to put your money in equity and be very clear that you will not look at your portfolio on an hourly basis and say, oh God, I should have put some in debt, I should have bought this, I should have put some money in NPS. No, it doesn't make sense at all. No, not for you. So then I also told him that there will be something called an income tax for you. So for that you need to be able to avoid that tax, you need to put in something called ELSS, and we will keep the figure of ELSS at about 1 lakh, which is what you require now. Going forward, you will require less and less, simply because your income will go up, your PF will go up. If you borrow for a house, that housing loan will take care, so your ATC will never be empty. So let us always put 1 lakh per month, 1 lakh per annum in an ELSS fund. So he agreed to that also, and so therefore there it started. His PF was also there. He had some old life insurance policies. His father had told him, don't take insurance, not even term, which in his case to me sounded very fair, because he was inheriting anyway a big amount of money. Right now there was nobody dependent. So I asked him a very simple question. If at the age of 35 you realize that you have got cancer, you're married, you have 2 children, will you regret that you don't have adequate insurance? I said, you're going to get everything that your dad has fairly obviously, and you made a will, all that is in place. So he said, okay, I don't think I need term insurance. I stick to what my father said, which is right. So if you are very affluent and there's nobody dependent, and there's a good chance that he will marry a girl who is equally well qualified and equally affluent, chances are maybe he doesn't need even term insurance. So no term insurance for him. Now look at, he wanted to put some money in NSS. I said, what happens is you have some spare money, you put it into PPF and NSS. The advantage is, A, you get some tax break. You're anyway putting money for in ELSS because you want more equity exposure. But all your debt requirements you can meet by putting money in PPF, because you have an adequate surplus. For a person investing 1.5 lakhs a year, I would not suggest 1.5 lakhs in PPF, but for a person investing about 12 lakhs in a year, it was easy to suggest at least 10,000 or 20,000 in PPF on an annual basis. NPS with 50,000, that between these two his debt requirements were met. Of course, I put some money in equity in NPS, but yeah, so broadly this is what happened. So then we worked out the interest so I said, look, even at 75,000 with this asset allocation, you will reach something like 35 crores. So that is not bad at all, and it will be more when you up it to about 1 lakh a month, right? So somebody who has that kind of a surplus and listening and wanting to do all this at the age of 24 is really